Hey, welcome back to Code 4 Cooking. I'm Jeff, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be teaching you how to cut up bell peppers. Great for everything. We're going to show you how to do it. All right, so we've got a couple different bell peppers here. And it all depends on what your recipe is looking for. I will tell you that the green ones and the red ones come from the same stock. So this is what happens when they continue to ripen. So this is a less than ripened, this is fully ripened. So typically the same pepper, but it does carry a little bit different flavors, obviously, the more it ripens. There's a couple different ways for us to cut bell peppers. Neither one of them are wrong. I'm sure somebody could come up with several other different ways of doing them. There's classic ways of doing this, and it all depends on what you're looking for, whether you're wanting to have them diced or if you're wanting them to have them julienne, so they're just nice long strips. So it depends on what you're cooking it in. So first thing we're going to do, this one's got a little bit of a misshape down here towards the bottom. It's not going to stand really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top here, I'm going to turn it on its side, I'm going to take my knife and hold that pepper up, and I'm just going to go right from the top straight through, and you can see how that opens up. There's the stem comes out nice and easy. Throw that away, and then you've got your core. You just slide your fingers in there, pop it out, throw it in the trash, and then you've got all these little seedling things. There are all the little seeds out and away. Now, it's really in threes already, so we're just going to go ahead and continue that. Now from here, we'll get to the top here in just a sec. What are we looking at? Are we going to look at having this diced up, or are we going to look at having this in strips? If we're looking at having it diced up, you can cut them the long way or you can cut them across the top. You're going to end up in the same spot, diced. So let's try this one here. Smaller piece, we'll look at going from the top. You just hold it, keep your knuckle there to give you your distance. Straight through, nice and easy. There, all the way to the end. Now you just turn them. You can see they'll lay out for you. Sometimes easily, sometimes not. Take your time, group the ones you can, and just make your cuts. Nice and slow, keeping your fingers away from your knife. Same thing with these last pieces. There. Now the end, that's a little bit larger than these, so we're just going to cut that twice to match the size. There we go. Nice diced peppers. Okay. Do yourself a favor. Avoid picking the food up with your knife, sliding the edge of the knife along the board to help pick it up and put it in there. Good chance you'll cut yourself. We don't need to be going to the ER. We're only cutting peppers. You don't want to be that person that ends up hurting themselves because they're cooking. It's just not cricket. So avoid using the knife, use your hands, pick the cutting board up, slide them in. All right, here we go to the next pepper. So this one, we're going to go ahead and cut in the longer strips. So you're going to hold that. You can see you can either hold the one flap or turn it over and just kind of press it down. And again, you're going to want to make those cuts nice and slow. This part is slowly going to flatten out while you push down, so you need to make sure you're keeping your knuckle towards that blade. See how that flattened out? Now, some might argue that all I did was crush it, and that would be partially fair. We're going to turn that stack, and we're going to hold on to them. And again, nice and easy, make the cuts same distance apart. All right, there we go. Got some more diced peppers. How lovely is that? All right, and this last one. The last one, we will assume that we're going to be going ahead and doing this for, let's say, fajitas or something else, or even just, straight up looking forward to putting it out on a plate for a dip. These are wonderful, fresh, and clean. You don't need to cook them. They aren't super spicy. We're going to take this. This time we are going to hold on to this top end. And we're just going to guide that blade right down to the size we want. And there you have it. And now we've got our strips. So I'll set that one aside for me later. So now we have our strips. We can put them on a plate. We can fry them up, use them in stir fry, whatever we want. Okay? There. Now, this yellow one, it's got one of those traditional, I get the stickers off. Great shape. It's going to stand up on its own. Now, if you were going to do a stuffed pepper, which are fantastic, you always want to find peppers that are like this, that are going to stand up on their own. And the reason for that is that you're just going to take that top off, pull the guts out, and then you're going to be putting it in your baking dish, and you're going to fill it with all of your fixins. It'll be onions and other peppers, and you could use shrimp or chicken or steak or whatever. But you can basically fill this with all of your ingredients, and you'll have a couple of these in your pan, and then you can bake them. For our purposes here, we're just going to go through on a simple cutting. Another way of cutting this is to hold this here, take your knife from the top, and you go just a slight angle out, but then straighten it out right away, just like that, and then come down. Now you can see we just exposed the center of it, and there is the core that we lifted out on the green pepper. We lifted that out because we cut the top off. This time we're leaving that intact, and we're just peeling the flesh away. And you'll just go nice and slow and work your way around and down. Nice and slow. Now when you take this off, this is where it's going to lose its structural integrity, as it were, with only this one last piece holding it in place. So that's going to tend to want to flap. So just hold on to it so it's not moving, but don't press down, because you're going to just collapse it. See how we're going to collapse it? Now we can just go to the side here, take that off, and there you go. That whole core is just sitting there. And what we can do from here, because we don't want to waste anything, we can take this little piece off here. We can cut this up. There. Now you see we made it all the way through, and we just had these little spots right there. Excuse me, these are called veins, and the seeds attached to them. And most of the seeds we remove out of these peppers for aesthetic reasons. Now, here we have all of our pepper, nice straight shapes. You notice the other pepper, because it had slightly misshapen, it pulled down to that triangle tip. They were larger wedges up top, very small on the bottom, but they still had that big curl. These are laying pretty flat, so we'll be able to do the same thing with these, with the red one, and then this one is going to be cut very similar to the green one, in the sense that we don't really have that great round or square shape to it to do it on its own. So we've got our pepper here, and I forgot about this. I'm coming back to our pepper ring. This was the top. So we have all of this wonderful pepper that we forgot to add to our bowl. We're going to do that now. So, sorry, yellow, you got to just yield because green's going to go first. Yeah, I said it. I'm just going to walk our way around and then take the ends and come back. And if don't stack them up because they're just going to topple, just do a couple at a time. There. Put those in with the other green guys. All right, back to the yellow ones. We do have a few we've already diced. We're just going to share a bowl over there. And again, you can do one of two things with these peppers. And I will encourage you to make sure that your knives are sharp at all times. You can get fairly inexpensive knife sharpeners that'll do the job just to keep that edge on there, especially if you're using inexpensive knives. You know your knives are getting dull when your knife tries to rest here and won't go through your pepper. It like rides on top. Be like cutting with the back end of this it'll eventually go through, but that's dull. This is the back end of the knife. So if that's how your knives are cutting through peppers, you need to get them sharpened. I know not everybody can get them all sharpened all the time. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Whether it's the sharp end or the dull end, if you go with the flesh side, the inside of that pepper up, skin side down, the knife wants to glide through it. If we turned it upside down to use the dull side, it's going to want to go through, but not necessarily all the way. And that's one of the hardships, but you get the majority of the flesh cut through and you can finish it off. Thankfully, we have a nice sharp knife and we're just going to go through it. Okay. Now again, if we were going to be looking at dicing these, just rotate them to the side. Because this was more of a box, circle, square, they're going to lay a lot more flat. And that makes it a lot easier to just gently walk that knife through it. Remember, use the knuckles. Keep that knife away from your fingertips and let that be your guide. And if any one of these jumps out of your way, don't catch it. It's not going anywhere. I mean, if it falls off the cutting board, goes on the floor, goes in your pocket, it's not hurting anybody. Don't reach for it. Chances are you'll end up grabbing the knife blade. Again, that's a bad thing. You don't want to do that. All right. Last little bit of this. And I encourage you to see how sweet and flavorful your peppers are. And it'll remind you when you're cooking them, unless you're serving them raw, in which case those are done. But it makes a difference in how much you're going to want to cook these down. The smaller the pieces, the faster they're going to cook, obviously. But the thing is that do you want to have them cooked down so that you've pretty well turned them to a mush and then you're going to make a puree in a sauce? Then you can cook the hell out of them and puree them into your sauce. But if you're like me and you want to have a little bit of that bite, a little bit of that crunch left over, you can cook these down to a point where they're still going to maintain their shape, maintain their form, and still have a crunch to them. Still have that little bit of essence. So you know you're biting into that bell pepper. And it's like I said, because these aren't hot peppers, you're not going to want to do that with the super hot peppers, have that big chunk sitting there and bite into it. You're just going to burn your face. It's just not pleasant. Now, food should not be painful. So with these, you want to be able to taste that crunch, have that little bit of sweetness carry through with all the rest of the seasonings, and everything else. If this is going in a salad, this is beautiful for salads as well. It's got a great shape. It's got a great size. When you think about your dice, you want to think about what it means to have a bite. This will mix in with the lettuce and a few other things in your salad, so you get that in your bite. If you've cut your peppers jumbo style, these are more than a bite. This is going to be very difficult to eat, regardless of whether it's in a stew, a soup, a sauce, your salad. I mean, these are practically dippers. Okay, so be mindful of how big you're cutting them, how small you're cutting them, and how you're going to cook or use them. Take your time, work your knife. There's no real wrong way to cut a pepper. I'm sure somebody will find a wrong way to cut a pepper and tell me. But just as long as you're able to get the core out of there fairly easily, those are 2 easy ways to cut your peppers. And hopefully that's going to make your day go a whole lot easier. All right, we'll look forward to seeing you back here with more of cooking and tips and tricks back here. Code 4 Cooking. We'll see you soon.